Chapter 15 introduces us to the tools of foreign policy and national security policy in light of the many challenges facing the United States today. Foreign policy of a nation is organized around its external goals and the techniques and strategies used to deal with challenges that come in the way of achieving peace and prosperity. National security policy, one aspect of foreign policy, is designed to protect the independence and the political integrity of the United States. One of the techniques is diplomacy. Diplomacy is the process by which nations carry on external relations and resolve conflicts by peaceful methods. Other techniques include economic aid, where the U.S. offers grants, loans, and credits to other countries, and technical assistance, where we send experts to other countries in areas such as agriculture, engineering, or business. U.S. foreign policy is based on both moral idealism and political realism. Moral idealism is a philosophy where it is believed that nations are normally willing to cooperate with each other and agree on moral standards for conduct. The United Nations is an excellent example of moral idealism. Political realism is a philosophy that sees each nation acting in its own self-interest. The world is inherently a dangerous place, and nations are looking out for themselves in relationships with other countries. U.S. foreign policy is a mixture of both. U.S. foreign policy must be formulated to deal with the world's conditions, including terrorism and warfare. Terrorism is the attempt to create fear to gain political ends, usually by violence against non-combatants. It has become a major challenge facing the United States and other nations. The United States waged war on terrorism after the attacks of September 11, 2001. One term you'll need to know for your quiz is the Bush Doctrine, which states that the U.S. is prepared to wage preemptive war against perceived threats with or without allies. Now let's turn to how foreign policy is made. The formal power of the President to make foreign policy derives from the U.S. Constitution, which designates the President as Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy. Presidents have interpreted this authority broadly. They also have the power to make treaties and executive agreements. In principle, the State Department is the executive agency with primary authority over foreign affairs. The National Security Council also plays a major role. The intelligence community consists of government agencies engaged in activities that gather information about the capabilities and intentions of foreign governments. In response to presidential actions in the Vietnam War, Congress attempted to establish some limits on the power of the President to intervene abroad by passing the War Powers Resolution in 1973, which states that the President is required to notify Congress within 48 hours of committing armed forces to military action and forbids armed forces from remaining for more than 60 days without congressional approval. Three major themes have guided U.S. foreign policy. In the early years of the nation, isolationism was the primary strategy. With the start of the 20th century, isolationism gave way to global involvement. Soon after World War II, the Cold War began. A policy of containment, which assumed an expansion of the Soviet Union, was enunciated in the Truman Doctrine. Following the apparent arms equality of the United States and the Soviet Union, the United States adopted a policy of détente or loosening of tensions. The United States signed arms controls agreements with the Soviet Union under Presidents Nixon, Reagan, and George H.W. Bush. After the fall of the Soviet Union, Russia emerged as a less threatening state. Under President Vladimir Putin, however, Russia has moved away from democracy and in part returned to its old autocratic traditions. The most serious of these actions by Putin is exhibited in Russian aggression against the Ukraine in 2014. This is your video lecture for this chapter. Please use this lecture as well as your study guide to prepare for this week's quiz. Good luck.